In today's video, I've hopped on to Squiggle and we'll be doing my AFL 2023 mid-season ladder predictions. What an interesting first half of the season it has been. Teams that we've expected to finish a lot higher have finished a lot lower, and teams we have expected to be quite low have finished a lot higher on the ladder. And let's get cracking into the video. Let's begin. Alright, first game, Sydney versus St Kilda at the SCG. I reckon Swans will be too strong here and will win by 2 goals. Then moving on to the Bulldogs versus Port. In my tipping video, I did tip the Bulldogs, however, I reckon Port is the more safe choice. I'm going to say Port by 8. Melbourne versus Collingwood. Collingwood will probably win this game. Port Adelaide versus Geelong at Adelaide Oval. I reckon Port will be way too strong here, honestly. And then Brisbane versus Sydney. Even though my gut's telling me Sydney will win this, I'm going to play it safe. I'll say Brisbane will win this game by 27. Richmond versus St Kilda at the MCG. Stuff it will go St Kilda by 5. Carlton versus Gold Coast at the MCG. Stuff it will go Gold Coast. We'll go Gold Coast by 9. We'll go to Bulldogs by 31. Cats versus Melbourne at Geelong Stadium. We'll go Cats by 6. We'll go Brisbane in a thriller. Sydney should win this game comfortably. I reckon Fremantle will be too strong here. Said the MCG, you got to back in Collingwood. Sydney versus Geelong. I actually reckon Sydney will win this one at the SCG. I reckon Swans will finally beat Geelong and will win this game by 3 goals. Dang, another bloody tough game to tip here. Who do I tip? You know what, I'll go Bulldogs by 4. They should be too strong at Marvel. I'm almost tempted to tip Gold Coast here, but I have to go Collingwood here. I'll say they'll win it just. This game's got me thinking a bit. You know what, I'll go Essendon by 7. I reckon Giants could surprise people here, but Melbourne surely should be too good. Richmond versus Sydney. This could be a danger game for the Swans, but I reckon season on the line they should show up here. Honestly, I reckon this will be the game the Pies drop. I reckon the Bulldogs match good against Collingwood, and I reckon they'll win this game. And they jumped to 4th when they were 9th. Again, it just shows how bloody close this season really is. We'll say Melbourne win it in a thriller. Port should win this game. I reckon this game will be challenging for Gold Coast away from home. Sydney versus the Bulldogs. I reckon at home Sydney should win this game. I reckon Swans will win it by 5 points in a thriller. Melbourne versus Brisbane. At the MC Walker's too strong. They jump back into the top 8. Collingwood versus Geelong. Collingwood will be too strong in my opinion once again. Sydney versus Gold Coast. This is a typical game that Gold Coast will win. However, I am biased, and I do reckon Swans should win this game at home. They'll definitely have a lot of players back by then, and they should be a really good side at the back end of the season, and they should win this game by 23 points. Brisbane versus Adelaide. Again, every time I see that Adelaide's playing on the road, I just don't tip them, especially against good sides. I reckon Brisbane will win this game. St Kilda versus Richmond. Again, I'm probably doing Richmond a bit dirty as well. They have a lot of capability of beating these teams, but we'll go St Kilda still. Collingwood versus Brisbane. At Marvel, I say Pies just. This could spell upsets here, but we'll go Essendon to win this game by a single point. Oh, this is tough. This is very tough. We'll say Geelong win this game at Marvel. They just beat the Bulldogs at Marvel, so I'll say they'll win this game. Adelaide versus Sydney. Because Adelaide can't make finals from here on, I'm going to say Sydney get it done by 13 points. And then Brisbane versus St Kilda. We'll go Brisbane at the Gabba to be way too strong here. Essendon versus Collingwood. Essendon need to win this game to make the finals. The last game of the season for them. Do I tip them against Collingwood? But screw it, they did it to Carlton last year. I'm going to say Collingwood will do it to Essendon here and win by a goal. Geelong versus the Doggies. Geelong need to win this game to make finals, and I'm going to say they will by 21 points. We'll go Fremantle will book their spot in the top 8. We'll say North Melbourne get the job done by 5 points. Sorry Gold Coast fans. At the SCG, Sydney versus Melbourne. We'll say Sydney win this game by 8 points. We'll say Port Adelaide win this game once again. I'll say Adelaide win this game by 21 points. And there you go guys. Those are my predictions. Just take a look. So we got Collingwood first at 20 wins and 3 losses. Second we got Port Adelaide at 17 wins and 6 losses. Third we got Melbourne at 16 wins and 7 losses. And at fourth we got Brisbane at 16 wins and 7 losses. Look at the percentage between Melbourne and Brisbane. 0.1 separates these two teams. That is crazy. Anyway, 5th spot we got Fremantle at 15 wins and 8 losses. 6th spot we got Sydney hosting a final at 15 wins and 8 losses. 7th the Bulldogs at 15 wins and 8 losses. And 8th Geelong at 14 wins and 9 losses. Honestly, I'm quite happy with this top 8. I actually like it a lot. The only thing I'd change is Brisbane 3rd and Melbourne 4th, but that's probably just because I've been tipping Melbourne by way too much, so I guess that isn't accurate. But yeah, I am happy with that top 8. I reckon it is pretty good. Maybe Geelong could be a bit higher and Sydney perhaps 1 spot lower. But apart from that, I'm actually happy with it. And then in 9th position, missing out by 1 win, St Kilda with 13 wins and 10 losses. Essendon in 10th with 13 wins and 10 losses. Adelaide 11th with 12 wins and 11 losses. Gold Coast 12th with 11 wins and 12 losses. Then we've got Richmond, Carlton, Giants, North Melbourne, Hawthorn and West Coast. The only thing I'd probably change in the bottom half is Adelaide a bit higher. However, they do have a tough draw. I am very happy with these predictions honestly. Anyway, let's do the finals tips. Qualifying final 1, Collingwood versus Brisbane. I sort of have a feeling that Brisbane will pull off something special here and will win this game and really announce themselves as a genuine contender. And you know what? I'm going to tip Brisbane in one of the biggest upsets. And then we've got elimination final 1, Fremantle versus Geelong. We'll go Fremantle to win that at home. Elimination final 2, Sydney versus the Western Bulldogs. I reckon this could be a very damn close game. But you know what? We'll say the Swannies get it done at home. And then in the second qualifying final, Port Adelaide versus Melbourne. I reckon Port will be too strong at home here and will win this game. And then moving on to the semi-finals, Collingwood versus Fremantle, a rematch of the semi-final from last year, but surely Collingwood win this game. And then Melbourne versus Sydney at the MCG. I got a feeling that the Swannies are going to go on an epic finals 1. So you know what, I'm going to say Melbourne out in straight sets for the 2nd year in a row. And I do reckon they are pretenders Melbourne, and I reckon Swans will get that win. And then Brisbane versus Sydney in the preliminary final. Oh look, as much as I want to tip the Swans here, I reckon Brisbane will win this game by 2 goals and will move on to the grand final. And then in the second preliminary final, Port Adelaide versus Collingwood. Jeez, this is a bloody tough game to tip. But you know what? I'm going to go for Port Adelaide here. I was going to tip Collingwood, however let's be different. Let's not do what everyone else will do. Let's go for a Brisbane Port Adelaide grand final. 2 interstate teams playing in the grand final. Brisbane versus Port Adelaide. And I reckon the winner of the 2023 grand final will be Port Adelaide, simply because I reckon they'll play better at the MCG compared to Brisbane. But anyway, those are my mid-season AFL ladder predictions of the 2023 season. This was a very fun video to make. I know there's going to be some angry Pies fans with me in the comment section, but hey, I just reckon they will somehow lose in the prelim. But anyway guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big fat thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.